So we are on the last episode of UGATIt for 2021, and
Okay.
UGATIt standing for unabashedly giving all the time. And my guest today is Nora Agbakhamen. Nora came as a referral from Corey Warfield, who was one of my past guests. So welcome to the show, Nora.
Thank you, Ashwil. Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
I'm glad to have you. And just before we hit record, I was showing you a video of yours that you had posted on LinkedIn earlier today about a sloth and a dog and the companionship between them. It's so amazing. But I still remember when you and I first connected about 2 to 3 weeks ago, you said something that's still stuck in my head, right? Which is really about don't be afraid to reach out to people and make time to help, right? And I think that in a nutshell is what the whole UGATIt community is about, which is really about giving without expecting anything in return. But Nora, I mean, talking a little bit about your own journey, talk about where you are and how you got to where you are.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that question. So where I am right now, I'm a brand storyteller on LinkedIn, helping brands to generate revenue and networking generally, helping my connections to be the best versions of themselves right here on LinkedIn, while also helping businesses as well.
Got it. So one of the obstacles that many people face who are not a UGATer, right, who are focused on themselves for the right reasons, but the first mental obstacle is when people say, hey, you need to start giving, or it's a community where you need to be a UGATer, it is, do I have anything worthy of giving? So that imposter syndrome, that lack of self-worthiness, if you will. So how has your evolution, what tips did you have to get past that mental obstacle of, do I have anything worthy of giving?
Yeah, to be honest, I regularly have imposter syndrome, even here on LinkedIn, a lot of the times actually. But then the desire to give eventually overrides that feeling. So I realized that giving is something everyone should do, and that no one is too poor to give. So when that feeling comes, I face it head on and then do my very best to overcome it. I acknowledge the feeling, it's there, but I do my best and let the inner desire to give override that feeling.
Such a powerful thing that you said, right? Because that desire to give really gives you the freedom to experiment, right? So it's amazing. The other kind of corollary to this is, and I'll be honest with myself, right? I mean, I was in that boat many years ago, which is, hey, let me achieve something, right? And whether achievement could be a big bank account, a big house, a big title, whatever the case may be, right? And then I'm going to start giving. Whereas when I look at people like you and Corey and Derek and others, it's you're not waiting for the destination. In some cases, you already passed the destination, but lots of times, the UGATers that really connect with people are, as they journey, they start giving back. They don't wait for, oh, let me hit that milestone. So again, how does somebody, again, from your perspective, again, your own journey, but also for people who are starting out saying, hey, everybody has something to give, right? And how do you kind of extend that to say, okay, don't wait for a quote unquote successful point for you to give back? How do you get past that?
Okay, so long ago I learned that you start with what you have, you give what you have. There is never a perfect moment. And as humans, we always have wants. And so we go after these wants by trying to acquire and trying to get things done. So there will never be a time when you see someone actually say, oh, I've gotten to the peak. I've gotten to where I want to be. We just have to learn to be self-sufficient and simple. So for me, what has worked for me is there is never going to be a perfect time. So as I journey, in my enterprise journey or here at LinkedIn, I find that I always have something to give. When I started getting serious on LinkedIn 2 months ago, I had 90 followers. And along the way, as I started getting serious and positioning myself on LinkedIn, I was sharing tips even with my followers. Many of them come to me in the DM and I tell them I'm still small, but then this is what has helped me. Why not try this? Why not implement this? And they come back to say, oh, thank you. You know, what you told us worked, or the tip you gave us is working for me. So there's never going to be that perfect time. I learned to give right from the get-go, and that's a value I learned from my parents early on in life. You share whatever you have.
So powerful. I mean, it's that freedom or that ability to say, hey, everybody has something to give, right? And again, you don't hit that milestone, which actually reminds me of another common connection of ours. And it was David Alto, and was looking at what he had posted. This was, I think, let me see, this was about, I think, a week ago. And the whole better.com CEO fiasco of firing 800 people over Zoom. And the thing that really resonated, and I saw you commented on that as well, is David coming out and saying publicly on LinkedIn, saying every single of those 800 people impacted, losing their jobs just before the holidays, I will give you a personal LinkedIn profile makeover. Reach out to me, right? So it was such a powerful thing to say. So everybody has something to give. I mean, he didn't think about how am I going to get time for 800. It's like, this is what I can do. I can do this for a living. And then you commented on that saying, hey, what a wonderful gesture, right? So it was, again, going back to what you just said, which is everybody can give with what they have. And in case of David's case, it was like, hey, 800 people, just reach out to me. And so hats off to that. The one of the other challenges as a UGATer is what you just mentioned, which is people reaching out to you, Nora, DMing and asking for tips and you responding back to them. At some point, there is a, I won't call it a break point, but there is a certain mental health and self care that is needed, right? And this is a tough thing for UGATers because they're built to give. But at the same time, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to give. So how do you kind of draw boundaries around how does Nora take care of herself before she can take care of others?
Okay, all right. So let me just talk about David's post. 900 people actually were laid off on that Zoom call. And we know what it is. A number of us know what it is to have lost a job.
Yep.
So when David offered to reach out to those people by giving them a free resume makeover and optimizing their profile here on LinkedIn, I found that amazing, and that's a clear example of giving with what you have.
Yep.
And so, I get close to people like that. I associate with givers and I learn from them. They inspire me to give. So that's about David's giving, and David and I are working together somehow. We are trying to see how we can also support some of those people who have lost their jobs. Yes. Yeah. So that's on giving. Then about drawing the line between self-care and, knowing where to draw the line. I'm a professional, so I know that while it is important to give, it is also important to take care of myself and practice some self-care routine. And so when I feel overwhelmed, I politely tell people, oh, this is not a good time, or when people ask me, I run a business on LinkedIn for which I get paid for. So while I'm happy to give tips, I also try to be professional and draw the line about where to stop, where to stop. So those tips are there, they are free, but then I wouldn't just throw myself out and just call everybody. I'll have an overwhelm, so I know where to draw the line. and where to politely tell people, okay, I can't do this now, or could you, this is a business, could we do it this way? There's definitely a point to draw the line.
Yeah, so that's a great point, right? Which is, I think, just not getting overwhelmed by the whole giving aspect. So one of the other things that again, going back to David and what he did, right? In business school, the first thing, or one of the first things that is taught is ROI, right? Hey, you put something, where is the money coming back, right? Basic finance 101. But when you talk about UGATIt, again, taking David's example, right? He is not looking for 900 clients. This is David helping people at a point of need. Now, you and I know that guaranteed the word of mouth of what he's doing for resume makeover or LinkedIn profile makeover is going to get him clients, but that's not what he's thinking. And so how does this UGAT mentality about give, the returns will come when they come, how they come, you can't predict that, but that should not stop you from giving, saying, hey, well, I've given 10 hours, I need to get back 5 hours in terms of revenue. So what tips do you have for people who are strictly looking at everything from a business transactional point of view to getting into this long game?
Yeah. So the thing is, people are genuinely attracted to givers, and people can see through someone who is just interested in making money off them and someone who truly loves them and have their interest at heart. LinkedIn, people on LinkedIn are intelligent, so they can see through that. So for me, what I've learned in my journey in LinkedIn and in life generally is to give freely. The returns will come when they will come, like you said. And there is this thing about giving that there is a secret that a number of persons don't know. There's a satisfaction that comes from giving that takers don't get to enjoy. So when we give for the right reasons or give for no reason at all, eventually somehow it will come back to you 100-fold when you least expect it. And I've experienced that here on LinkedIn. There are certain posts I make for people, especially people who are dealing with humanitarian issues, people who are dealing with health issues, foundations. Some of those posts are pro bono. And I do it because I genuinely love what these persons are doing. And I've found that, in the process of doing those posts, I have a number of clients reach out to me and they are ready to pay me on LinkedIn. But when I did those posts, I didn't do them because I wanted to get paid. I did them because I needed people to look through to what those people are doing, support them, encourage them, follow them. But somehow I end up getting leads from some of those posts. So that goes to show that giving always has some benefits when you give for the right reason. And then here on LinkedIn, I've also noticed that some people are takers. I'll give you an example. There was a lady that reached out to me on LinkedIn. She's big in quotes, one of the big LinkedIn influencers. And she goes, oh, Nora, could you engage on my post? I know, and when you engage, some of these posts get to do well, power likes and all that. And she goes, okay, I'll engage on my post, I'll engage back. And she does that regularly. She never engages. And I don't expect it, honestly. I really don't expect, an engagement from her. So whenever she comes and says engage, I just know she's not going to engage. So I engage freely because especially when the post genuinely resonates with me. When she does great posts that genuinely resonate with me, I engage freely. And I have the satisfaction of seeing that, oh, wow, that engagement sort of boosted her post. So I leave a smile there. I leave a smile around her timeline without expecting anything in return. So it has come back to me 100-fold, which is what LinkedIn is about. As you engage, you are actually helping yourself, which is what people don't know. So I've learned that in life, that when you give, somehow it comes back to you.
Very, very powerful. And I can empathize with that so much, right? Which is people reaching out and saying, hey, comment on my post, I'll comment on yours, but I do exactly what you do, which is if the post resonates with me, I will respond. If it does not, I will ignore it, right? So
exactly.
So one of the other last questions, and this is something that you do amazingly well, Nora, which is consistency, right? I
Mm-hmm.
know when I see a video of yours, there's going to be some powerful human impact of that. And again, you pointed to things that you do to help, whether it's the climate crisis and what people can do, whether it's farmers in your country and what you're doing for them, but also the ability for you to stay on top. And again, going back to the UGATers thing, which is like, how do you maintain consistency? So it's not like Nora, like suddenly Sunday you're posting and then you go silent for 10 days. No, you're there literally every day. So from a giver's perspective, how do they keep that consistency going?
Okay, so it's not easy to achieve consistency, especially when you have a lot on your plate. Like you rightly noted, I wear many hats and I do a number of projects. I'm very passionate, especially about climate change and how to mitigate the effects. So I'm actively involved in climate change activities, as well as here on LinkedIn and other businesses, you know. But then what I try to do is I create a schedule that helps me, you know, because show up daily, and then also take care of other things. Like I'm a mother, I'm a wife, so I try to balance these so that no part suffers, the home front doesn't suffer. So scheduling and organizing has helped me a lot, as has delegating. So I delegate some tasks so that I'm not just everywhere. I trust the people I delegate tasks to. And so I just act in some cases from a supervisory role. So that has helped me show up daily and maintain some consistency here on LinkedIn.
Wow. So final question, right? For somebody who's never been a UGATer, right? And let's use the word that you talked about. Let's say that he or she has been a taker, but seeing the givers and, like you said, the satisfaction and playing the long game and I mean, even what you mentioned, like you and David, I mean, I've got my brain whirring, right? Right after this LinkedIn Live, I'm going to reach out to you and David saying, what can I do to help? Right. So, but for the question really is for people who have never given but who are inspired to give, what would be the one thing that you would say the first step that he or she should take as they get into the giver's journey?
Okay, the first thing is give no matter how little you have. Again, no one is too poor to give. And then, you know, there's the happiness that comes from giving. So I'll tell, you know, everyone who's aspiring to be a UGATer, give from the little you have and give without expecting anything in return. So that's the short message I have for people who want to be givers.
Wonderful, wonderful. Again, Nora, thank you for your time. And hopefully the listeners have actionable takeaways that he or she can implement. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashwin. Thank you.